Even if you're making a relatively low income, you can still save tons of money and reach your money goals without having to drastically change your lifestyle. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some creative and some non-mainstream ways to do just that. Did you know that we're actually not supposed to be saving money forever and ever and ever and ever? What we're actually supposed to be doing is separating out each of our savings goals into like different buckets, I like to call them, and each bucket needs to have a specific monetary goal. And after all of our buckets are full, now we can take all that money and throw it into investments. Now you don't have to wait until all the buckets are full to start investing, but you want to make sure that this one bucket is definitely full before you even think about investing. Now this first bucket that should be a priority for everyone is a $1,000 starter emergency fund. Now I'm saying at least $1,000 depending on your family size, because $1,000 is usually enough to cover most emergencies. Now, this isn't like the fully funded emergency fund, right? That comes later. That will be 3 to 6 months expenses. But for right now, just start it with $1,000. I think it's very attainable, and it's also going to help out so you can like dig into that if anything were to happen instead of having to go into debt or use a credit card. Now, you might be wondering, where is the best place to store these savings? Well, for these longer term savings, the best place is definitely not in a traditional savings account. You earn hardly any interest on those accounts, and it's just not worth it to have so much money sitting there. I recommend a high yield savings account. The one I use is Ally. Not sponsored, I just love it, and that's the one I use. I love it because remember I mentioned the buckets. You can divide out your savings, into different buckets and give it a goal, and you can like track your progress. It's so cool. But for example, let's say you want, that starter emergency fund. You can have that. Let's say you want to save up to buy a house. You can have like a down payment fund. Let's say you want to go on vacation, you can have a vacation fund. It's just really motivating to see it laid out like that. And the more progress that you see yourself making, the more progress you want to make. So it makes it like really fun to save money. On top of that, you will also earn so much more money in interest than if you were to use a traditional savings account for this. So yeah, that's the one I use, but there's plenty of others. Just make sure to do your research. Now, real quick, I want to talk about money windfalls, which happens occasionally, whether it be a tax refund, a bonus at a job, or if you sell something and now you have access to all this cash, right? Now, what you should do with this is probably not what you think. A lot of times when people get this windfall, they'll want to either go on vacation or they want to buy some nice things or go out to eat, treat themselves or even pay off some debt, which there's really nothing wrong with that. However, before paying anything above the minimums on those debts, you really, really want to make sure you have at least that $1,000 saved, right? In my opinion, okay, don't get mad at me, but I think if you don't have at least $1,000 saved, you should really reconsider going on any type of vacation. Just gonna keep it real, and I'm looking out for your best interest, because if any little thing were to happen, you're gonna have to go deeper into the hole if you're already in debt, or you're gonna have to go, into debt for that. In my opinion, I think it's really worth it just to take a little bit of time, rack it up and save up that money, so that way you can have that peace of mind whenever you do go on vacation. All right, so now that you know about savings buckets and your savings priority, let's talk about how to finally take control of your money once and for all. Spending plans. Now, spending plans are one of my favorite things to talk about in the world. I know it's so geeky, but like literally, a spending plan is a budget. Budgeting has very, very negative connotations, I know this, but it's not limiting at all. All it is giving your money a job before it gets spent, so you're not wondering where it all went, okay? So we really shouldn't be getting paid and then paying for things as they come, right? We shouldn't really be doing that unless we have everything written out, all of our expenses written out with the amounts, the due dates, and that way we know exactly how much our expenses are each month. This really should not be a guessing game, by no means necessary. Think about it kind of like the law of entropy, right? In nature, like if something is left untampered with, unmessed with, it's going to naturally go to a state of chaos. Think about your lawn. If you leave it untouched, it's going to get really messy, right? Same thing with your money. If you leave it like kind of, out of sight, out of mind, you don't really check it, it's going to get chaotic, and you're going to be like stressing, and you're going to be shocked each time you look at your bank account that it's a lot lower than you think, right? And this is where the issue arises, right? Let's say we get paid, we deposit our check into our bank account, and now we see that biggish number in our bank, right? And we're like, okay, we got some money, we can do our thing. But the thing is, a lot of times we don't account for our bills, our groceries, eating out, going out with friends. We don't really account for all this stuff. So then we're constantly shocked at our bank balance. So the goal here is we have to divide out our expenses. Now, there's a lot of budget templates. Most of them are kind of overwhelming. That's why a lot of people don't like to stick to a budget. However, the one I use and the one I've been able to stick to for years, and it's just so simple. It makes budgeting fun. It's just 4 main categories. It's bills, essentials, lifestyle, and savings. I have a video going more into depth about that. I'll link it out in the description. But man, it is game changer. No longer are you going to look at your bank and be like, okay, I have $3,000. No, now you're going to be like, okay, I have this much for bills, this much for groceries, this much for eating out and stuff like that. It's just the most amazing way to go when it comes to simple money management and staying on top of your money. If you want access to the spending plan template that I use and I love, I give it away for free. Just click the link down in the description. Now, with each time you get paid, you want to make different spending plans, and that's because with each paycheck, you might need to pay different things. Now, if you get paid multiple times a month, I actually have a video going through how to go about that. It'll be in the description as well. Now, that was part one on how to take control over your money. Now, part two is to track your expenses. So you'll have the 4 categories, right? Each time you buy something, click, add how much it was, and it'll deduct it, and now it'll be like, okay, now instead of having $300 for eating out, now I have 200 or whatever it is. So it's just like I said, instead of looking at that big number, now you can see it very fast. I'm gonna link below some good spending tracker apps that I use, but literally, like, if you don't take away anything else from this video, take this away. This completely changed my life. Now, some people might need a little bit more help being disciplined with actually transferring the money to savings. So I would suggest just automate the savings, right? After you make your spending plans, you know exactly how much money you can allocate towards savings while still having enough to pay your bills and all your expenses. So an ally, or I'm sure most banks do this, you can literally just set a rule for every month, on this day, set aside however much to the savings. And I mean, that just takes out the thinking. It's just automatically done for you. And this is called paying yourself first, which is, Robert Kiyosaki, everybody knows. Paying yourself first is actually a great way to actually stay on top of your savings so that you don't accidentally spend it on accident. Believe it or not, you might actually have more cash flow than you think. Here are some ways to free some up. Now, when you do free up some cash, don't just see this as just extra spending money. You want to put it directly into savings. This is how you grow your savings quickly on a low income. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't have had this money anyways, so just out of sight, out of mind, put it quickly into savings. Cutting expenses. Now, when it comes to this, I try to be very weary because there's only so much you can cut down expenses, but there are some things that make a tremendous difference. Now, the first thing you can do is to go to usa.gov/benefits. You can see if you can qualify for either SNAP or reduced school lunch. That could be, a huge help. You can also go to 211.org, or you can call 211, and they can help you, if you need help paying bills or with housing, utilities, food, healthcare, mental health. Like, there's a lot that they offer. It's simply just one call away. Now, also, you may be able to qualify for a free government cell phone and phone service. I'll leave those links in the description if you're interested in looking more into that. Food pantries. So do not sleep on food pantries. There's usually a lot around the areas depending on where you live. But a lot of times they don't check your income. So if you're having difficulties with food or you want to save money in that area, go to your local food pantry. Next is LIHEAP. So that stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. It is another way to get assistance with paying your utilities if you qualify. Now, if you're low income, the programs that I just said most likely will apply to you. However, this is something that applies to everyone, and that is eating out. Eating out is single-handedly one of the things that people spend most money on besides like housing or a car. It is crazy because, a lot of times we don't notice. We just spend 10 bucks here, 15 bucks there, 5 bucks there, and it adds up. What I suggest is that make eating out something special. Only eat out for special occasions. Don't make it a regular thing, right? It's not super healthy to eat out all the time, but also it's expensive. And I'm not just talking eating out, but like, yes, coffees, make it at home, or cookies, little snacks, whatever. Buy it at the grocery store. Try not to go to convenience stores because those are like little ants, right? They seem insignificant in the moment, but add a whole bunch of them together. Yeah, it's very noticeable. It's the little expenses, it's the insignificant expenses that actually is the reason why we're always shocked at our bank balances. It's because we forget what we spend. Get better with the tracking everything, but we really want to be intentional about not having to buy out, especially when it comes to food. Now, when it comes to saving money on food, meal prepping, batch cooking, meal planning, those things need to become your best friend, and you kind of need to learn to like it if you want to save a lot of money. A lot of the money is saved right here. Now, some food staples that really help with meal prepping and batch cooking is rice, beans, pasta, potatoes, vegetables, fish, or chicken. So some of these things you can cook at the same time in a sheet pan, like the potatoes and veggies. The goal of making all these is to mix and match them. You can make so many different combinations, especially with like different sauces. It's great. And another thing I want to mention is you want to make like soups and chilies as well, so you can put them long-term storage in the freezer just in case you're in a pinch and you ran out of the meal prepped food. You always want to have at least a couple things in the freezer. Now let's talk about something that you need to avoid at all costs: consumer debt. Do not use credit cards for events, for birthday parties with friends, for leisure things, for going shopping because you want another jacket. You really don't want to be using your credit cards as a savings account because, hey, double-digit interest. Should I say more? All right, so we're about to get a little bit deep, right? This is a huge trap that you really need to watch out for. Consumerism traps. We really need to adopt the mindset of minimalism and resourcefulness. Simplicity is a blessing. We really don't need to overcomplicate life by buying excess. If something is on sale and you buy it just because it's on sale without you really needing it, that item really wasn't on sale, if you get what I'm saying. No matter how good the deal is, you don't want to buy things just in case. When it comes to thrift stores, I love it. But you gotta watch out because even that can be addicting. I mean, I have to really watch myself. I literally went to a thrift store the other day for a purse. I was happy I found the purse that I wanted. That doesn't really happen all that often, but I found the purse I wanted. But of course, I saw these beautiful shoes that I could not say no to. So it's like, if you know that you're not gonna be able to resist yourself, just don't go in, right? Do not go into the thrift store or whatever shops just to look, just for fun, because I'm telling you, it's just like putting a candy in front of a baby. Like, don't put yourself in that situation if you know it's gonna tempt you. So I really learned my lesson. I'm like, okay, if I'm going for something, I'm just not gonna why did I even go to the shoe section if I was going for a purse? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like little things like that really make a difference. Now I'm sure a lot of you guys know about the Buy Nothing Facebook groups. Just type in Buy Nothing and then your local city, and then I'm sure a few groups will come up where people are just giving away things for free. Only get things that you absolutely need, because that just contributes to clutter. A cluttered house, a cluttered car is like a cluttered mind. So even with free things, we don't want that excess. Name brands. Name brands are hardly ever really worth it. I mean, yeah, they're good quality, but there's other things that are not name brand that are just as good as quality a lot of the times. I go out of my way to make sure that what I buy does not have a name brand or nothing recognizable, just because that's free promotion for them. They're not paying me to promote them, right? And a lot of times, celebrities don't even pay for these name brand items. They just kind of use it to promote it to the middle class and lower class, just to get them to buy it, right? It's kind of messed up in that way. They have the money to pay for it, but they're not even paying for it. They want the people with less. So, anyways, yeah, don't fall into the trap of name brands. Honestly, there's more to life than name brands, y'all. Now, don't get me wrong. If you personally love some name brands, nothing wrong with that. But it's just, if somebody literally cannot afford rent, or they have to go into debt for these name brands, that's when it's a little bit of an issue. Now, setting personal policies. Now, instead of setting rules, you know what I mean? I like to think about it as a policy. You know how store policies or whatever but personal policies. They're kind of like guardrails when it comes to your money. So a few examples can be only going out to eat a few times a month. Another one can be to stop impulse spending. You implement a 48-hour rule. So if you see a shirt you like or whatever on Amazon, instead of buying it right away, just put it in your cart and walk away. Do something else completely and just wait that time. And if you don't even, a lot of times you don't even remember what you even have in the cart. Have you ever ordered on Amazon and completely forgot what it is you ordered? Yeah, it happens. Another personal policy that I personally have is to always prioritize free events. I use Eventbrite and Meetup.com to see the local happenings in the area. A lot of times there's free festivals and just local events. Many of them are kid friendly. So that's just an amazing way to save money, as well as eating beforehand. So what I'll do is I'll, eat a good hearty meal beforehand. And then if I go to the festival, if I buy anything, because my friends know I do not like spending money out on food. I just don't. But if I do, if anything, I'll just buy a snack because I'm mostly full, right? I'll just buy a snack or whatever, and yeah, saves me a lot. Also, when it comes to drinks, I only drink water for the most part, and that saves me a lot of money when it comes to drinks, because drinks really do add up. Now, I mentioned before, when it comes to cutting down our expenses, there's only so much we can do when it comes to decreasing those expenses, right? So I have to mention how to increase our income. I'm not talking about getting another job, but there are a couple things that you can do that might be really beneficial when it comes to getting our money up. Now, I have a few ideas. So the first one is either Uber or Uber Eats, Lyft, Grubhub, all that. I just mentioned that because if you have a car, it's a good way to get cash same day. So, I mean, that's really helpful if you need it. Now, another one is downloading this app called Free Stuff Alert. Now, this app meshes together Craigslist, OfferUp, and I believe Nextdoor, the free postings on that. And you can literally set the alert so you'll be the first one to be notified when anything free of quality is posted. Yeah, there's some stuff that's kind of junk, but there's some good stuff that people just give away just because either they're moving, they don't feel like dealing with it, they just give it away. Now, if you want, you can turn on the notifications on this app, and each time you find something good, just flip it either on Facebook Market, Craigslist, or eBay. You'd be surprised how much money you can make off doing this. Now, the next idea that I have is if you have local businesses near you, either in a downtown area or any business really, go on their website or their social media, right? See if they have any good pictures or any pictures at all. If not, offer to take pictures for them, right? You can buy a cheap camera or an iPhone. Most iPhones have really good quality nowadays. So offer to take pictures for them. The first one can be free. And then after that, you have, build up your portfolio. Now you can be okay, this is my work, and you can charge for the next business. This could be pretty lucrative and pretty fun if you're more artistic. Now, this next strategy that I'm going to talk about is a little bit more longer term, but it could yield massive results. Now, if you're able to look up local business networking groups, a good one is 1 Million Cups. It happens in most states in the US. Now, these local networking groups, they're filled with business owners, right? And you can go in there and just see how you can add value to these people. Usually people introduce themselves in the beginning, so you can kind of see what industry you mostly gravitate to. Introduce yourself and schedule a one-to-one coffee or something, and just listen to them. See where you can add value. Wherever there's a need, you can make money. Okay, plain and simple as that. As long as there's needs in the world, there's opportunities to make money. So really keep that in mind. Really want to be creative and be aware. Even if it's not you adding value to them in any way, maybe they're hiring or something like that and they pay better than what you're making right now. You never know what can come to this. So for a fact, I would really suggest you plug into your local business networking community in your area. Slow and steady wins the race. Over time, naturally, you're going to be noticing ways to keep your expenses nice and low, and you're going to notice ways to earn more money. It's a skill worth developing, kind of like always being aware of different opportunities. And it's definitely the opposite of how society, wants us to think. Let's just be honest, the consumerism. No, I have nothing against consumerism as a total because I'm a business owner, so I want to provide value and, I would love to be compensated for that and everything, but it's just the overconsumption that it's a problem, especially if it's putting us deep into debt. Now, if you watch this video to the end, I have no doubts that you're going to be able to save a lot of money quickly simply because that's the wavelength that you're on, right? Having the willingness to better your situation, regardless of the circumstance, is definitely the first step. So in this video, I gave you a step-by-step guide on how to save tons of money, even with the low income. I showed you how to optimize the money that you're already making, as well as different ways to earn more money. The crazy thing is that a lot of people making multiple six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck themselves. So if you can learn how to save money, even with low income, right? No matter how much money you're making, when you start making more money, you're gonna know exactly how to handle it. These skills, they're lifelong skills. So thank you so much for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that I made, giving you even more ideas on how to save money. I'll see you next time. God bless.